Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. You know those times when you're completely not shopping for something, but you just come across a good deal and can't pass it up? Well, happened to me. Got some new wheels. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I got, why I got them, and we'll take some measurements and put them on. So let's check them out. Yeah, so here they are, ultralight. So these are Prime BlackEdition 50 carbons. So I don't know, or however you say that sequence of terms, but they're made by Prime, 50 millimeter depth, about 2 inches, and they're super wide too. Look at that, 27.5 millimeters wide. So I'll also go over kind of the evolution of the wheels I've had. I went from like a 19 millimeter wide alloy wheel to these ones. These are also carbon. They're about 23 millimeters wide. Now these bad boys, 27.5 millimeters wide, so supposed to improve aerodynamics, so I'll kind of go over that a little bit, why I think that's the case. And we'll weigh them. They're super lightweight, feel lightweight. These bearings are super smooth. We'll take the tires off, take some measurements like I said, see the weight comparisons, and we'll throw them on the bike. Oh, and then there's some other things we're going to need to do too. Since the new ones are a lot wider, we're going to need to open up the calipers quite a bit. And there is clearance. I've already ridden them, I've test fit them on here, they fit front and rear. I wouldn't think so because there's, I don't know if you can see in there, but there's really tight clearance on these wheels, but the tires are the same size. I test rode them, there's plenty of clearance, but I do need to open up the calipers because the wheels are quite a bit wider than these ones, so show you how to do that real quick. It's pretty straightforward, just got to loosen out some of the cable. So I think it's going to look pretty pro with some 50 millimeter deep black wheels on there. See how it looks. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so the quick story on the wheels. A buddy of mine who I ride with just got a new set of wheels last September, so 5 months ago or so. Rode them a little bit. They're in really good shape. I mean, they're super true. But he just got a new bike with disc wheels, so he doesn't need these anymore, so got them off of him for cheap. At least I think they're cheap. Got a pretty good deal on them. So here's the other goodies it came with. So you got the whole kit here. Let's see what we got in here. So carbon specific brake pads, we're gonna throw those on there. These are the Prime wheel specific ones. Boy, when I rode them, these ones, the stopping on these new wheels compared to those guys, way better. I don't know what, it seems like it's the same surface, but it just, the braking was a lot improved. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we'll throw those new pads on there. It's also got an adapter. He uses an 11 speed. These are 11 speed compatible. But if you don't have 11 speed like me, you're old school, you have a 10 speed, you got to throw on this little ring there to space the cassette out. Oh, that's another thing, we got to swap the cassette over. That guy to that guy. So we'll do that. Got the lightweight skewers. Those are really lightweight actually. Throw those on there. And also, oh, spare spokes, that's cool. Hopefully I never have to use those, but got them just in case. And here's something I probably will need to use. Oh, these are for if I go tubeless. So they are tubeless ready. These are the valve stems for if I run tubeless. And as well, there are these valve stem extenders. So as they are 50 millimeters deep, that's pretty tall right there. So we're going to see if my stem is long. These are 32 millimeter deep, so probably not going to stick out quite enough. So I'll have to use those valve stem extenders to extend the stem out so I can pump them up. But I'm going to run tubes for now since I have them, but eventually I'm going to try tubeless, because now another thing I want to try is tubeless wheels. So now I got some tubeless wheels, so eventually we'll go there. But right now I'm just going to set them up with the tubes in there using the valve stem extender. So first things first, let's get, of course, the old wheels off, strip them down, then we'll weigh them. We'll compare the weights of the old versus new, see what we're talking weight wise. Let's do that. So switching over your cassette's really easy. You just gotta take off your skewer here. And when you take your skewer out, always thread on the end again so you don't lose your springs. Special tip there. So I'm running an Ultegra cassette, but same thing for at least the Shimano. If you have a little cassette tool, you just put it in there, undo it, and we'll swap it on the other wheel. So I think I'll grab a rag here. So what I do is grab a rag and kind of wrap it around the outer ring here, hold it nice and tight, and then put the little tool in there, open these up, and then if I'm lucky, it's not too tight. Let's see. There we go. Break it free. I just undo that guy. I'll take this off, set it to the side for now, because first I want to weigh the wheels. So you can tell this is a 10-speed hub because it has this flange right up here on the end. If you look, if you compare that one to this one, this is the new one over here. So here's an 11-speed hub. See how there's no flange here? It just goes right up to the end. That's why I need that spacer to put on there to space out my 10-speed cassette a little bit so it lines up. So that's the difference there. Okay, weighing time. This is a Reynolds R32 carbon wheel alone. Let's see what it weighs. This one is 775 grams. 775. Okay, next this is the new rear wheel I'm putting on. This is the Prime BlackEdition lightweight 50 carbon. Let's see. This one's coming in a little heavier at about 825. That's to be expected because it's got quite a bit more material in here to make that bigger bearing and the wider width. So a little bit of weight penalty, but should be much improved aerodynamics. Okay, next up is my older Reynolds 32 front wheel. This one's about 665. That's for my Reynolds 32 front wheel, 665. And now the Prime BlackEdition 50 front wheel. Well, this one does feel, I don't know, it feels a lot lighter, so it's probably not, but we'll see. Okay, so the front wheel is 625, so a little bit of weight savings there. So that's interesting. The rear weighs a little bit more, front weighs a little bit less. All right, and just for fun, I brought out my old American Classic 420 aluminum, super thin wheel. Seems also pretty lightweight, so just out of curiosity, I want to see what this weighs. Okay, wow, that one's 630 for the old American Classic. That surprises me. Thought it'd be a little lighter, but there you go. There's the front. There's all the wheel weights. Check out the difference in wheel weights over the years. So here's this is the American Classic aluminum. This is a 19 millimeters. I believe it's 19 millimeters wide. That's what we used to run back in the day with 23 millimeter tires, pumped up to like 100 psi. Then a couple years ago, I switched to the Reynolds with these. I think this is 23 millimeters wide. Even that was a good difference. And here I went to the 25 millimeter wide tires. I got a lot more volume in there. Now look at these things, 27 and a half. Huge difference from 19, 23, 27 and a half. So you can get a lot more volume in your tires. So you can run lower pressure, more comfortable ride, more traction. Okay, so we got them weighed. Now all we got to do is build them up, throw them on the bike. I think it's going to look pretty sweet, so let's get to it. Some things we'll need to do. We need to put the cassette on here, possibly put valve extenders on, and then pump them up. So, well, let's just check to see if we need a valve extender real quick. Yeah, so we're going to need valve extenders, so it only goes through that much. So we'll have to figure those out. I've never done that, so we'll have to figure out how to do that. Put valve extenders on each of them. Oh, and open up the brakes too. So since these are a lot wider, so we're going to do that. Cassette, valve extenders, brakes, tires, pump them up, go ride. So here we go. Okay, here we are over at the workbench. Got my two tubes. I need to put the valve extenders on. And luckily, these ones already have removable cores, so you'll need to have tubes like this if you want to put valve extenders on, because you got to take the core out, and then you screw this guy in there. It's got a little seal, so you screw that in place of the core, and you move the core to the top side over here. So That's going to end up being really long, like that when we're done. Great, so I could find with this giant crescent wrench, so hopefully this will do the trick. There's a little flat here on the stem, and then also flats on the valve itself that you can put wrenches on. So I'm going to see if I can do it by hand here. Oh, that was easier than I thought. There's the first one. We're going to unscrew that. So there's your valve core. Okay, so we just have to put this extender in here. I'm just going to lick the rubber a little bit, make it lubricated. And we'll tighten it up, screw this in here. I'm just going to go hand tight because I don't want to distort the seal or anything. Okay, that's that. Now, same thing here. Get this, wet the seal a little bit. Yeah. And this guy goes up here. It's actually a special little tool for this, but I do not have it, so I'm using my little wrench. Tighten that up. There we go. Okay, that should do it. Now I have a really long stem that we stick through the whole wheel. Hopefully that'll do the trick. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. Then we'll get these in the wheels and put the tires on. First, we got to put the cassette back on. Got to put the spacer on because since this is an 11-speed hub, it has lots of clearance here for the wider cassettes, but if you only have 10-speed, you need to put the little spacer on to space it out a little bit. So that's what this is for. This only goes on one way, I believe. So slide that on. Started, then I need a tool. Now my hands are all greasy. Fantastic. So, it's a little tool. Just make sure it spins freely before I crank it down. Okay, got the cassette on. Now let's put the tubes and tires on and pump them up. Okay, we got the wheels all ready to go. Got the cassette on the rear. Front's all set up. Skewers are on. We've got these goofy looking ultra stems on here, ready to go through these long deep dish wheels. So that's got the front and rear tires. Get the tires on, get the stems in, bump them up, and we'll see how they look. These are being kind of a pain because they're tubeless wheels, so it's you really got to stretch the tire out. So one trick to do that is make sure that the tire is on the inside lower portion of the wheel, the bead that is. You want it drop down in the center of the bead here so you have more space on the opposite side to slide it in. So you just slowly work it around. I'm almost done. I'm trying to do it by hand because I already broke 2 tire irons trying to do this because it's so tight. And then you also want to go around and make sure you're not pinching your tube in here anywhere. So go make sure you don't see your tube between the bead and the wheel. And we'll just keep working around. I'm almost done. Just got to finish the last part here. Whew. That was tough. Okay, so the tire is on. I'm just going to go around and check. Make sure the tube's not pinched anywhere. Because this is a tubeless wheel, you can hear the bead pop into the groove when it gets to the right. Well, when it pressurizes enough, it's going to pop into the bead here. There you go. Pop. And that, so we'll leave it like that for now, see if it holds there while I put together the front one. is a chore. Okay, now we're going to pump it up. You'll again probably hear some popping sounds as the bead of the wheel at the tire pops into the groove here, since these are tubeless. It's a real tight fit to make it airtight. These aren't tubeless tires, but when you do have tubeless tires, obviously you have to have an airtight fit, so that's why it's so tight and hard to get the tire on. Oh my gosh. Now that is definitely a different look. It's pretty pro. Nice deep dish, blacked out. Pretty sweet. One thing left to do now is to open this brake up a little bit. Front one's a little tight too, so we'll come back here, open the brake up a little bit, and we'll be ready to ride. One thing I just remembered, I forgot to change the brake pads out, so let's take the wheels back off. We'll swap in the new Prime specific carbon pads, just because I have them. Might as well run them with the new wheels. Then we can set the spacing right on the calipers, and so it doesn't rub, obviously, when you're riding. So changing brake pads is super duper easy. Just got to get a small little Allen key. There's one Allen bolt, kind of a set screw type thing, holding it in on each side. So just back this out. It doesn't even have to come all the way out, just enough. It's kind of a stopper in there, and it just slides right out like that. Bolt fits in there to kind of keep it from sliding around. So we're gonna take these out. Pretty radical cooling grooves in this one. These are the Prime specific ones, so better be good. So we'll slide this one on this side, and the right one in this way. Then you tighten back up these screws, just so they can't back out. And you are good to go. So we're going to repeat this for the front brakes, and we'll adjust the spacing to the wheels, then we're good to go. Okay, new pads on. Okay, brake pads have been changed front and back. It's the rear wheel back here, so all I need to do now is adjust the brake caliper spacing so that I can close the brakes. It's not too tight. So first of all, what I want to be able to do is flip this guy around. So when I take the wheel off, I can open them up, drop the wheel out, and then close it back up. But as you can see, with the way it is now, if I pull on the brakes, it's already almost well, yeah, it's already touching the wheel. So I need to let a little bit of cable out there to open them up. Let's do that real quick. I'm going to loosen that. This is pretty easy to do. Take a 5mm wrench, loosen this guy up slightly. I'm going to let there's already spring tension on it, so I'm going to let a little bit of cable out. See it sliding out there. Tighten it up and see where we are. So tighten it down. Let's test that out. Okay, that's pretty good. That is excellent. So I'm going to tighten this guy up nice and snug. Okay. Now if I want to fine tune anything, I can do it up here with this one. So just want to make sure it spins freely. You have a good play, good feel on the brakes up here in the front. So that's pretty good. I'm going to tighten it up just slightly. Bring it a little bit more. That's about where I like it there. So we'll tighten up the front one, and then we'll be done. We're ready to ride. All right, well, thanks for watching my wheel upgrade video. Wasn't planning on getting new wheels, but you can never pass up a good deal. Some pretty sweet looking carbon wheels on this bad boy now. Hopefully it'll be more aerodynamic. You know, I'll be able to stay with the gang a little bit better. Yeah, so as always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you out there on the ride sometime. So enjoy your rides.